Hello friends, as I'm sure a lot of you have guessed, I am just adding and adding to my horror movie collection for figures, and today we get to take a look at Leatherface. Well friends, here's Leatherface out of the box, and I gotta say, he is one ugly mother. I mean that in the best of ways too. The sculpt on this guy is awesome. First thing I notice is he's got a cloth apron, and the thing is, in the package it comes tied like this, but as you play with it, this is going to get constantly undone. So I suggest you just like double up and tie in a little knot. Let's see if we can do that to make sure his apron stays on for the rest of this review pretty tight. That should take care of that. And speaking of his apron, it's got this cool little bloodstain effect splash all over it. Really nice. There's not too much I can say about the sculpt. I mean, it's pretty disgusting. Like, look at the face. Oh my gosh, you can see his face under his face, a face he made out of people, and it really does look leathery, that the sculpt Neca gave it. I like the stitches on there. Pretty good sculpt. I also really like the sculpt on the hair. Like, it just looks like a crazy guy hair somehow. I don't know how they did it. I'm not too fond of the sculpt on the torso, because it's like, I mean, he's got like these hunchy shoulders. It doesn't seem like a neutral sculpt is what I'm trying to say, but I think for monsters that kind of works. So, you know, it's like a nitpick that it's sort of slanted, but not too much of a nitpick. It definitely looks good overall. Overall, the sculpt is pretty great on the torso, actually, despite the fact that it's like hunched. It's like all these little lines in the shirt, sculpted, and the folds are sculpted. And the pants, you don't notice too much because they're hidden behind the apron, but the pants have nice sculpted folds and wrinkles. Pretty much perfect sculpt. I can't complain too much, although I don't know too much about the characters, you know. I just bought this guy to have a cool horror figure. And the tie is like kind of comical, honestly, because it's so short, but, you know, I guess Leatherface got to be a professional when he goes to butcher people at the butcher shop. Anyways, the paint is where this guy shines. Like I said earlier, blood on the apron, looks great. Paint on the face looks terrific. Like, you can see the eyes in there, and then the little stitches are brown, and there's no slop at all. It looks kind of sloppy on the mouth, but it's supposed to be. He's like a dirty, gross guy in there. His teeth have not been taken care of. He looks like he needs a bath from a little skin you can see, and, you know, skin on the arm, too. It's like got this dirty wash on it. The whole shirt has this dark wash. He's just like a filthy, filthy guy. And then the pants, kind of plain, but it kind of makes sense if you imagine he was wearing an apron that kept him clean down there. I mean, I didn't keep the shirt clean back there, so I don't know. I mean, maybe the pants and the boots could have definitely used some, like, brown wash to show, like, hey, he's dirty. He's been running around outside and stuff. That's probably missing, but everything else, pretty perfect on the paint and the sculpt. Articulation, let's take a look at that. So he has a ball joint head, but doesn't get too much range, unfortunately. Can only look that far up, that far down. Side to side doesn't happen as easily as twisting around does, but there's a little side to side movement there. These shoulders can come out to about 90, very good, and they go all the way around too, of course. He has hinge and swivel elbows. They get pretty much to 90, pretty good range there. The wrists are just ball joints, and they're kind of those peggy, cheap ball joints Neca likes to use. So, I mean, they can spin around and they can pop off, even though he doesn't have alternate hands, but they don't get great range up and down. And, you know, what they do get, they don't really hold. They feel kind of loose going up and down in these directions. Now, it kind of seems like he has a diaphragm joint, because he definitely gets some side to side and some back and forth, but his torso above the waist is one solid piece. And it doesn't seem like rubber, although it kind of is rubbery down here. What's actually happening is that it appears to be like a diaphragm type joint lower in the waist, like lower in the torso, closer to the waist, I mean. And you can see like where it flexes kind of like right between the shirt and the pants. And I guess this whole piece is rubber. I mean, it really feels hard plasticky up here. Pretty impressive that you integrated it that well, Neca. But his butt is definitely rubber diaper, which lets his hips move pretty far back and pretty far forward. No complaints there with the ball joint hips. He can also do the splits. Pretty good job on the articulation there, Neca. And they do not seem to swivel, although they might just be stuck. No, I'm pretty sure they don't swivel. Oh, wait, maybe they are stuck. Let me see. The hips do indeed swivel. They were very, very stuck on mine. This one's still kind of stuck, but they are supposed to be able to swivel. Anyways, moving down to the knee. They don't get the best of range. They can't quite get to 90, but they are on hinge and swivel. And then the foot, Neca ball joint, doesn't get much range, unfortunately. But It does swivel, and it's kind of creaky because the sculpt of the pants kind of gets in the way of it. Could be better on the knee and the foot Neca, but thankfully he does not have too much trouble standing up when you play with it just enough. So Leatherface's packaging is real nice. It's pretty much a standard Neca window box for their Ultimate figures. Get a cool little photo of the figure inside here. It doesn't exactly look like it has the same blood spatter as our figure. And on the outside says that who will survive and what will be left of them. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, what happened is true. Now the motion picture, that's just as real, except it's not really true. I mean, it's like based on Ed Gein, and he did not do pretty much any of the stuff you see in the movie, although he kind of did have a suit of people. That's kind of gross. Anyways, this is the tragic tale of 5 young friends and blah, blah, blah. Let's look at the back of the packaging. It's got some cool pictures of the figure and its accessories. And the background here, I guess, is like Leatherface's face with holes in it. Kind of gross looking, and yeah, I guess it is, because that's an ear. I much prefer the front of the packaging, because it's just like the movie poster. Anyways, let's open it up. This tray comes out nicely. Now we can get a real good look at the backdrop in there. It's this wall of trophy collections that Leatherface and his sick family have been keeping, I guess. There are strips of tape over all these little accessories, but Leatherface, oh no, he has one little twist tie down here. Actually, it's not a usual Neca twist tie. It's one of those sock tie type things that you gotta cut. Let me get this thing off. And it's like those figures where it doesn't go all the way around to the back, so you gotta cut in front with the figure. I don't really like that, Neca. Like, we don't even need a twist tie. Just poke his legs through some holes in the packaging. That'd be better, I think. Ah! Oh, they're cut. What the heck's holding them in there? What the heck? Oh, there's another twist tie. It's going around his waist. Only you wouldn't know because he's got an apron in front of his waist, and you gotta lift this up, shove a knife underneath the apron, which is fabric and can be cut, and then jam it on the top of his crotch, and like you cut the crotch, and oh, I don't like these twist ties, Neca. Wah! Ugh. I get the second one, because there has to be 2 for some reason. Jeez! Not the best with these sock tie things, Neca. So now I believe we can just pop Leatherface out. And yes, we can. And he comes with this little packet of gel. Throw it away, they say. Don't do that. It's collectible. Out of the box, Leatherface comes with this little hammer, this little knife with a tree branch handle, this very nice looking crowbar, a meat cleaver, an alternate head, and of course the one accessory he needs to have, his chainsaw. It is in the title of the movie after all. Now unfortunately Neca's head on this guy is on this sort of big peg instead of a ball, which makes it kind of hard to swap out. But I don't think that's going to be much of an issue for me because I don't know where this head is from, but man, is it goofy looking. I mean, I guess it's supposed to be like a woman from like his woman's suit, but like, I'm not going to put Leatherface in this thing. Like, okay, the sculpt is fine and it's Neca, so I'm sure it's super accurate to the film, but man, does it look awful compared to this head. This head looks gross and evil, and this is the face of a serial killer, and this is a face of, I don't know. I think the problem with that other head is that it just looked way too dopey, and I'm pretty much never going to use it. Anyways, Leatherface's chainsaw has blood on it. It's also got some silver paint apps to look like the yellow paint on it has worn out over time. It's got blood splatter on the yellow too. Really nice details. I mean, I think it probably could have used like a brown wash to make it look oily and old on the handle part, but overall, no complaints. I love the sharp teeth. It's just got a very nice sculpt, and it's gonna, I can tell like the plastic's gonna stay straight, unlike my Ash figure's chainsaw arm where the chainsaw's like always crooked. Anyways, let's see how Leatherface can hold this guy. So it looks like Leatherface's right hand is sculpted to hold the handle, and the left hand is sculpted to hold the handle. The other part, the part that doesn't have the trigger, I guess. There's the main handle for the right, and the stabilizing handle for the left, and it's a little tricky to get both hands on there, but you can do it. So pretty good job, Neca. No real complaints on that. Awesome accessory, I think. The crowbar's kind of loose in his right hand. Fits a lot better in his left. And now that I look at it, I guess this is blood up top, and it's not a crowbar. It's got a spike. So this is like a meat hook, isn't it? It's still kind of loose in the left hand, but if you squish it up in between the fingers, you can get it to stay in one place. So that works well. Hammer also fits in the left hand since that's the one with the tighter grip. Kind of plain sculpt and paint on it, but I don't know what more they could have really added. Who knows what this little knife is from? I mean, I ain't actually seen the movie. I just like Leatherface as a horror icon, but it technically fits in his hand. It's got this little black twist tie on it right there. as if it was hanging on the wall, and that sort of keeps it from falling through the crack in his hand there. So pretty good job on that, Neca. I don't know if like it was intentional that you have this little plastic bit, like, I mean, the whole thing's made of plastic, but you know, the blade is supposed to be metal, the handle is supposed to be wood. It looks like it's like from a gnarled little tree, and Neca did a great job on the sculpt and painting the two little studs that go through it. But then the black part here, I guess, is supposed to be like a plastic twist tie, and I don't know what the story is with that, but it makes it so he can kind of hold it, so good job. Last up is what I think is one of the cooler accessories. Not as cool as the chainsaw, obviously, but probably second best. It's the meat cleaver. Not a lot to say. Pretty plain paint. Fits very tight in his left hand. Got some brown on the handle there. And can even fit okay in his right if you tuck it under the fingers. So, awesome accessories, Neca. Kind of surprising he doesn't come with alternate hands, since it seems like these just, you know, pop off, but he can hold everything with these, so I don't really see the point. No complaints with the accessories, except that this is dopey and I don't want to use it, but you included it. I ain't complaining. For the sake of looking at the scale, Leatherface stands at about 7¼ inches tall. He's a big boy. As always, here he is with Batman and Spider-Man. Here he is with It, Freddy, Ash, and Chucky.
Hiya, Chucky!
So Ultimate Leatherface is ultimately a very good figure. He comes with some very cool accessories, and I don't really like the woman's suit head exactly, because I think it looks goofy, but I'm glad Neca included it. It's good to have options. I would have just settled for the chainsaw and the meat cleaver, honestly, because that's all I really care about, but Neca always goes the extra mile. If I had any complaints, it would really just be that the articulation on those knees and feet could be better. The hands too, like, could we get some hinged wrists, Neca? Most people's hands can do this, you know? But sculpt in the paint, pretty top notch, and Leatherface is such a cool horror icon to add to your collection. Well, until next time, peace out, YouTube.